Hello, very beautiful community. Mr. Putin got told to stop his war to his face by Mr. Tokayev, the president of Kazakhstan. We're going to watch this. Putin absolutely hated that exchange, but because he got caught out by it, he couldn't answer it on the spot. So he waited to answer Tokayev, without naming Tokayev, when he was speaking to naval officers in Petersburg, and then he said some unbelievably humiliating things, of which the most humiliating one we'll watch together, beautiful community. So let's start with Mr. Tokayev telling Mr. Putin to stop the war. Mr. Putin sitting there and not liking it one bit. So let's rock and roll. I won't hide. I get a whole bunch of signals about which I informed you on the phone from Europe, from America. Signals about the current condition of the conflictive situation between Ukraine and Russia. You know? In my opinion, I said this from the beginning, this is an interstate conflict, and it doesn't have the nature of a civil war. So, this is really, really, really shocking and disturbing for Putin to hear, because it's the very opposite of his story about the conflict. Because the point of the conflict is that Russia has an atypically imperial relationship with Ukraine. Ukraine, for Putin, is not a colony that's gone wacko and needs to be brought into order. They're in fact just Russians who've forgotten they are Russian. It's a very different kind of relationship to the way Putin would relate to Chechnya. These are outsiders who are in our sphere, in our state, up to a point in our state, but they're others. Ukrainians are not others. They're Russians who've forgotten they're Russian, according to Putin's view and according to Putin's propaganda. And he is being told something that flatly contradicts the message he wants to get across and his own understanding, and he's absolutely hating it. Let's rock and roll. We've always been respectful toward the Ukrainian people, to its language, and we believe that the nature of this conflict is unclear for many people, including for us. Take the frozen conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia. The essence, the origins of that conflict are clear. They have a deep history. But here, this is very hard to understand. So he's essentially saying to Putin, you have your reasons for the war, but they're BS because nobody understands them. I'm sitting here, and I'm a certain kind of ally of yours, and I don't understand them. By which he means that they are BS that Putin has come up with or made up. So that's a very, very, very difficult thing for Putin to hear. Let's do one more. I know you applied maximal democratic flexibility in Anchorage in Alaska, and this is my humble opinion as I'm being addressed here, and my opinion is that it's time to freeze the war and return to some kind of Istanbul 2.0 solution where significant results were achieved. And of course this should happen under the guarantee of major and great powers, including Russia. And so Putin is completely caught out by this. He doesn't know what to say. He didn't expect this. And so in response, he said, thank you. Oh, and by the way, as far as the Ukrainian direction goes, in the course of our conversations today, I'll definitely give you an update about that. So it took him a while to respond, and he responded at his meeting with the naval officers in Petersburg, and there he went through a litany of post-truth reasons for war. I won't impose them on you. I'll give you just one snippet, and then I'm going to show you the utterly unbelievable thing he said, which shows how far you lose the plot and lose touch with reality when you are stuck in the kind of unchecked, informalized power Putin has. So here is Putin properly responding to Tokayev without naming Tokayev. We didn't begin this war. We only began to answer those military activities, that war that the Kiev regime started with the help of the West in relation to the southeast of Ukraine, which always oriented itself toward Russia. Then he went on and on and on. Talked about Lenin, he talked about Nazis. So you got his typical porridge. The thing, of course, he can't say is that this is largely a regime security war for him. But the bit of his vision of this that is to do with restoring Russia's historical destiny, somehow accelerating Russia's historical trajectory to align itself with its destiny. That second reason for war, that is Putin's genuine second reason for war, is one he can, to some degree, talk about in public. The regime security reason, of course, is unspeakable, unnameable for him. So this is the absolutely unbelievable clip that I want you to see, beautiful community. We need that quality, that feeling of unity. We need to preserve it. I meet people who help you guys behind the front lines. Women who make nets, kids who knit mittens. People do it with a purity of heart. And several times I heard the phrase, the special military operation will end, and what will we do then? You see, they've got so into it. They've got so into it. And they feel they belong to some kind of bigger project. So this guy has put into the meat mincer if you talk about fatality, several 100,000 of his citizens. If you talk about all casualties, over 1 million. His economy is going south. Different bits of the country are on fire. Now Ukraine is suffering much more. And he's also killed an inordinate number of Ukrainians. And he's saying, yeah, it's great because like everybody's really into it. They're really into it. Which is the opposite of the alt-right Western propaganda about Putin, which says that he cares deeply about his people. Putin finds Russians just people living on the territory that he runs. It's not that the territory is completely arbitrary to him. It is pretty arbitrary to many of the people. It's not completely arbitrary to him, but its significance only sort of gathers force when you see that territory traveling across a very considerable amount of time. That's the level of grandiosity he has reached. A current time slice of that territory and the people living on it doesn't matter to him, right? So that they are just replaceable pawns, and he wished, they could be replaced by better version of themselves, more fitting to his project. But it absolutely doesn't start with him. He cares about Russia in his mind, but that is a kind of a Wagnerian picture of his own implication in Russia's historical destiny. Doesn't give a hoot about the Russian people. And this sounded like one of those really bad Russian toasts when somebody stands up and they need to say something positive, but they can't think of anything. So they say something that sort of formally sounds positive, but it in fact has no positive substance. So somebody stood up and tried to make a toast to my health. Well, Vlad, I know you've been really struggling with your health. Well, okay, so far, so good. But, I think you've really, really got into it. Oh, well, this is less good now. Where is he gonna go next? Yeah, so you've really got into this whole thing of being ill, and so like I hope you like stay ill like longer. Cheers and stuff like that. Okay, well, thanks everybody. So it's that kind of um, I'm just gonna put two and two together and go through the formal motions, and the substance of what I say just goes out of the window. He does not give a hoot. Oh yeah, they've got really into it. We don't know what we'd do without the war. And that's the literal translation of what he said. Yeah, they're really into it. They got really into it. That's what it means for the human personality to be profoundly corrupted by a kind of power nobody should ever possess. Lots of love, beautiful community.